Okay, folks, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:32. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Greer.
Here.
Hanauer Friedman.
Here.
Lakshin. Pugh.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Rogers.
Present.
Sexton.
Here.
Storr.
Present.
Sullard.
Here.
Thorsland.
Here.
Vantage Theronot. Wiggs.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Cagle.
Here.
Carter. Cowart.
Present.
Crane.
Here.
Esri. Barney.
Here.
Fava.
Here.
Furtado. Locke.
Here.
We have a quorum. All right, tonight's prayer. We give thanks for those who cultivate the earth, for those who wake before dawn and labor in the fields, for those who take care of livestock, for those who plant and tend with care. We pray that they're appreciated beyond measure. Amen. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Will the clerk please read the notice of the meeting?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on April 24th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. in the Shields Carter Meeting Room, Brookings Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Motion from Ed. Second from Chair Locke. All right, we will go with okay, Chair Locke.
I move that we move the ARPA discussion forward to kind of just respect Kathy's time since it's a relatively short update this month. If we could move her forward to a place of your choosing, County Executive, perhaps after the update or after the consent agenda. After the update from the coroner.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to amend the agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move that. We'll make that item 10C, I guess. Okay. All in favor of the amended agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. The next regularly scheduled meetings are posted. Please note that the study session that had initially been scheduled for the 3rd is going to be postponed until May. All right. Employee recognition. Can I get a motion for adoption of Resolution 2025-134 honoring county employees for years of service? Second by Dr. Storr. Would Dr. Storr like to read the resolution?
I'd be honored to do that. Resolution number 2025-134, a resolution honoring county employees for years of service. Whereas it is the vision of Champaign County Board to be a recognized leader in local government where every official and employee has a personal devotion to excellence in public service and embraces the highest standards of ethics and integrity, which enables Champaign County to provide the best customer services to its citizens. And whereas one element of pursuing this vision is communicating to employees that their service to Champaign County is valued and appreciated. And whereas Champaign County employees admirably serve the people of Champaign County with full commitment to the responsibilities of county offices, work in partnership with fellow employees and county officials, and have dedication to the best interests of all the people of Champaign County. And whereas the Champaign County Board wishes to recognize the dedication and service of the employees who've reached 5 and 35-year milestones in April 2025, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Champaign County, or that the County Board of Champaign County hereby recognizes each of the aforementioned Champaign County employees as an asset to the citizens of the Champaign County and expresses our gratitude and sincere appreciation for their years of service. Please stand as I read your name. Brandy Katrine, who works for Administrative Services, 5 years of service. Jenna Brown, 35 years with the Public Defender's Office. Presented, adopted, approved, and recorded this 24th day of April Anno Domini 2025.
Thank you, Dr. Storr. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your service. Next, adoption of Resolution 2025-135 honoring retiring county employees. Can I have a second? Dr. Storr?
If it please, I'll read the resolution.
Thank you.
A resolution honoring retiring county employees. Whereas it is the vision of Champaign County Board to be a recognized leader in local government where every official and employee has a personal devotion to excellence in public service and embraces the highest standards of ethics and integrity, which enable Champaign County to provide the best customer service to its citizens. And whereas one element of pursuing this vision is communicating to employees that their service to Champaign County is both valued and appreciated. And whereas Champaign County employees admirably serve the people of Champaign County with a full commitment to their responsibilities of county offices, work in partnership with fellow employees and county officials, and have dedication to the best interests of all the people of Champaign County. And whereas the Champaign County Board wishes to recognize the dedication and service of the employees who will be retiring in April 2025. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Champaign County Board recognizes each of the aforementioned retiring Champaign County employees as an asset to the citizens of Champaign County and expresses gratitude and sincere appreciation for all of their years of service. Presented, adopted, approved, and recorded this 24th day of April Anno Domini 2025. If you're present, would you please rise? Peggy Mills, Circuit Clerk, 24 years. Huh? Well, thank her on our behalf. Very good. That's exactly what I expected, Mr. Wilson. Also retiring, Mary Bunyard, who worked with the Children's Advocacy Center, retired with 11 years of service. Amber Links, worked with the Sheriff's Office for 30 years, sentence served. Excuse me, little ad lib. County Executive.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. That's 65 years of service with 3 people. That is very commendable, and we appreciate their work. Thank you. All right, moving on to public input. If there's any members of the public that wish to address the board, they need to get a slip up to me. We'll start with Chelsea Dixon. I'm not sure. This is 404 West High Street, Urbana. Peterson. All right, thank you. Welcome. Push the button on the mic. When it lights red, you're good to go.
Hi,
Thank you.
I wasn't prepared to go first, but here we are. Good evening. My name is Chelsea Peterson, and I'm a resident of Urbana, Illinois. And I'm here tonight to express my full and unqualified support for the Little Prairie Hybrid Solar Project in Sydney. First, I want to emphasize that expanding solar energy capacity and battery storage in Champaign County will bring a lot of direct benefits to our local economy, infrastructure, schools, and families. It'll do this by supporting almost 200 construction jobs, supplying lower cost energy to 35,000 homes, and generating $19 million in property taxes, all the while increasing grid reliability. The potential of this project to reduce the cost of living for people in our area is especially important to me as a renter, a debtor, and a student who makes minimum wage. Recognizing the potential for solar to reduce my energy costs, I've had community solar for more than a year, and I've added up all of my bills, and I've estimated that I've saved more than $100 in 2024 alone and more in 2025. Perhaps that doesn't seem like a lot, but a large project like Little Prairie Hybrid that is also using battery storage to extend the window where solar energy can be used into the evening has the potential to supply a greater fraction of our energy to even more people. And as you all know, if we're not spending money on energy, we can spend it on all the other things that we enjoy and value, like saving for education so that we don't have so much debt, taking vacations and buying groceries, and paying for all the other rising costs. Before I realized that conservation was my calling, I earned a master's degree in agricultural engineering. And one of the things that I learned is that farming is really hard and increasingly expensive and uncertain. There's always uncertainty due to the weather, pests, and grain prices. And it's getting harder because of increasing spring rainfall. And so recognizing that, I think we should respect and empower that private landowners have decided that this project is a good, steady source of revenue and a valid use of their land. Additionally, I know how much pride that farmers have in supplying food, fiber, and fuel to our communities. So I think we should also take pride in supplying electricity to our neighbors to not only refrigerate and cook that food, but do all the variety of activities we need to live fulfilling lives. And to reiterate, I see the economic benefits of this project as sufficient rationale for voting yes, but I want to be honest about who I am. I am deeply passionate about conservation and looking after future generations. In the last few years, I've had the joy of becoming an aunt to 2 nieces, and we'll have one more later this year. And I'm confident that by simultaneously lowering energy costs and carbon pollution into the atmosphere, while generating tax revenue for education, this project will ensure a better future and quality of life for all of the kids in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Peterson. Excuse me just a second. All right. Next, Jason Elliott Benda.
Jason Benda, 1529 Lincolnshire Drive. I normally don't like to appear before the board in my work uniform, but I made a conscious decision to do so tonight. I am an employee of the county. I'm an employee in the facilities department. I am a custodian with a duty assignment here in Brookings. I will eventually have a duty assignment in Bennett. I also have responsibilities involving outgoing mail, including taking agenda packets to the post office for county board members. Disclaimer, I am not responsible for what happens to them after they arrive at the post office. I am compensated as a grade D employee, and I am also a member of the union that negotiates for our bargaining unit. I wish to read some words of the board. Whereas the Champaign County Board wishes to encourage gainful employment, not welfare, as the means by which American individuals and families sustain themselves. And whereas the Champaign County Board embraces the goal of enabling all county employees to achieve economic self-sufficiency and overcome the modern phenomenon of the working poor. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Champaign County Board as follows. All full-time county employees shall be paid an hourly wage no lower than the living wage. This is Resolution 4503, which was passed by this board in February of 2002. And this resolution is also referenced in collective bargaining agreements that the county currently has, including the expired contract with my union. 28 days ago, a member of our union sat in this seat and mentioned a living wage and implored this board to consider paying a living wage, but didn't define what that meant. And that got me to look up this particular resolution, and I found that the board actually has a definition. For the purposes of this resolution, living wage means an hourly rate arrived at by dividing the federal poverty level for a family of four as determined by the United States Department of Health and Human Services by 2080, which is the number of hours a person would work in a year if he or she worked 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. Now, at the time this resolution was passed in 2002, that poverty guideline from HHS was $18,100, which created a living wage of $8.71, which was 169% of the prevailing minimum wage in the state of Illinois at the time. Today, that value is $32,150, which would create a living wage of $15.46, which is 103% of the prevailing minimum wage in the state of Illinois of $15. Now, I will leave it to others to decide whether $32,150 is adequate for a living wage. I wish to address the fact that we don't even do that. There is an opening currently for a position identical to mine. The job posting states, custodial job is 37 and a half hours per week, starting hourly wage $16.44. If you multiply 37 and a half hours a week times 52 weeks times $16.44, you get $32,058. Now, I have a master's degree in mathematics, but I don't need it to tell that that is lower than $32,150. Let me reiterate that. We are advertising a position for a full-time benefited employee whose 52-week cash compensation is less than the poverty guideline that this board has established as the basis for a living wage. We've already heard Dr. Storr read the vision in the strategic plan, and I share that vision. I believe that I am a valued employee, and I believe that I have pride in working as a county employee. I want everyone to feel that pride. It bothers me when I see this, when I see us presenting less than a living wage. It bothers me when I see a county employee leave and say, I'm so happy that I'm leaving because I no longer have to work two jobs. That bothers me as an employee because we should be proud to be employees and we should be proud to live in and work for and serve this county. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is Andrew Gromlich, excuse me. Welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Andrew Gromlich. My wife and I bought a little house in the in-town Champaign area about a year and a half ago. And it's a fairly small lot and a fairly small footprint house. And the roof is all sorts of angles. And it's definitely had a couple additions put on to the top level a couple times over the 100 years it's been in existence. And we looked into getting, some solar panels on top. Nope. Even the companies that try to like really push and like invite you to dinner to try to get you to put solar panels on the house, they can't fit more than like 3 solar panels on the roof. It's just got too many little angles, weird tiny spaces. So we can't have solar panels on our house, which is why, for one, I would like to thank the folks out east of town who have land and are working with the solar companies to put up a solar farm, so that even if we can't get any solar power from our property, at least a larger portion of the power we use could come from a renewable resource, which I think is very great. I'm very grateful for that. I think that's really cool. And also I encourage the board to approve and let them do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joyce Mast.
Hello, thank you for hearing me. My name is Joyce Mast. I live at 607 South West Lawn Avenue in Champaign, Illinois. I support the Little Prairie Energy Storage Project solar farm because it produces clean energy without adding carbon to the atmosphere. My house is surrounded by trees, so my electricity comes from a solar farm in Palmyra, Illinois, with a guaranteed savings of at least 20% on my electricity. Yesterday, I signed a contract for a heat pump water heater installation, so I will not be responsible for contributing carbon to the atmosphere from natural gas. Why is this important to all of us? I want your and my children, grandchildren, their grandchildren's grandchildren to the 7th generation to be able to breathe on this earth without suffering from asthma and other diseases to be relating from pollutants from CO2. I want a livable earth for all humans and animals and life. Please support this solar farm project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jacob Rami.
That's me. I'm with the developer of the solar farm. I don't have anything to contribute.
All right, thank you. David Holly.
There we go. Good evening. My name is David Holly. I'm with Baywa RE. I'm the point of contact for Little Prairie Solar, zoning use case 144-S-24. We're here this evening with my colleague Jake. If you have any questions about the project, we're here to answer those. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Stuart Levy. Welcome.
Yes. Okay. Hi. I'm Stuart Levy. I live at 2006 Winchester Drive in Champaign. I'm here to speak in favor of the Little Prairie Hybrid Energy Project. Let's see. The developers seem to be responsible in terms of how they're dealing with the land while leasing it. They're building with comfortably large setbacks to the county standard instead of the state narrower one. They're ensuring that the battery storage site is not close to anybody's home. And they're providing a way for farmers to use their land in a way that may be at least as profitable for them as growing row crops is, and probably better. I wanted to make a point that others might not be making too. Some people argue, I mean, one of the arguments that you hear against solar arrays in this part of the state is that they would be taking high quality land out of crop production for some years. But I think we should think about it a different way. The cover crops that are planned for under this storage array, as they are for most of them, they can be expected to enrich the soil over time. They'll add organic matter and they'll fix nitrogen. So this is improving the land in the way that the prairie grasses did. I mean, the reason the land here is so rich is that it had had perennial grasses growing on it for centuries. So we could give the land a few decades to improve without being put through the row crop grinder. Even more, we should remember that something like a third of all Illinois corn doesn't become either human food or animal food. It's fermented into ethanol, so an energy crop. And it needs fertilizer and water and pesticides. And then even with the best care, it will lose some of that fertilizer into downstream runoff, which is causing trouble in the Mississippi River, especially down in the Gulf. So putting solar panels on energy crop land makes energy too, but without the inputs and without the runoff. And it's probably more profitable for the landowners who choose to do it. So I think it's a good choice to allow this project to happen, and I hope you will think so too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Paul Mbwesi.
Thank you so much. My name is Paul Mwebesa. I am a resident of Champaign County. I'm also an economist, and I work at University of Illinois. I wanted to add my voice and to support this project. I think it's going to generate economic benefits. It's going to provide additional tax revenues. It's going to diversify income for landowners. It's going to create a new source of revenue for landowners, and hopefully the dollar is going to, is going to spill over into other areas. So it's going to help the community in directly or indirectly. So I just wanted to add my voice. As an economist, I think the benefits exceed the costs. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next, Natalie Nagel.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Natalie Nagel. I live in Urbana, and I'm a staff representative with AFSCME Council 31. I represent about 160 Champaign County employees. We've been bargaining with the county for several months now. And while we have made some progress recently, your employees remain frustrated. I think you've already seen that. I think you will hear from more of them tonight. We know that local governments are facing some financial uncertainty, but what we want you to remember is that your employees and their families are facing the same. They're uncertain whether their out-of-pocket healthcare costs will more than double next year. They're uncertain that they'll be able to afford their medications. They're uncertain they'll be able to keep up with the cost of groceries and raising a family. And they're uncertain whether their employer prioritizes them or sees them as expendable and easily replaced. We've heard many times in the bargaining room that your 2025 budget is a deficit budget. But what these employees see is that this county can find money when it wants to. As a recent example, the AFSCME represented accountants in the auditor's office were notified that the part of the Bennett Center constructed specifically for the needs of their 6-person office will now be given to a small 2-person department. While another part of the building that ironically would perfectly fit a 2-person department will need to be retrofitted to accommodate the auditor's office. We haven't been given a compelling reason for this, but it will require money, and that money will have to be found. The alternative is using the existing spaces as intended, and that wouldn't require any additional money. Why can we find money for that, but not for a living wage and affordable insurance? Your employees deserve to feel like a priority because this county can't run without them. Thank you.
Next is CC Phillips.
Hi, I'm Cece Phillips. I work in the circuit clerk's office in Champaign County. I also live in Champaign County. County Board and community members, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I am proud to stand before you on behalf of the hardworking members of AFSCME who serve Champaign County every single day. Our members are people who make this county run quietly, reliably, and with deep commitment. We work in the courthouse, the jail, the sheriff's office, maintenance, and many, many others. The coroner's office, so many, all the offices. We are here when the community needs us. And now we are asking for the county's support in return. We are asking this board to make a clear and conscious decision to support a livable wage and affordable health care. Right now, too many of our members are working full-time and still struggling to survive. Some are forced to take on second jobs. Others are making heartbreaking choices between paying for rent or medicine, groceries, or gas. This is not what public service should look like. No one working full-time for Champaign County should be living in poverty or going without health care. A livable wage isn't a radical idea. It is a basic expectation. It is a reflection of the respect we deserve for the essential work we do. When our wages fall behind, it is not just our families who suffer, it is the services we provide to this county. Healthcare is no less urgent. Our work is often physical and emotionally demanding. We face risks, stress, and exposures. Affordable healthcare is not a perk, it's a necessity. Without it, our ability to care for others is compromised. This isn't just about contracts and numbers, it's about values. What kind of county do we want to be? One that honors its workers or one that turns away from them in their time of need? We are not asking for more than what is fair. We are asking to be treated with dignity, to be able to provide for our families, and to stay healthy enough to continue to do the jobs that we actually love. We urge the board to support a contract that reflects the real cost of living in Champaign County and respects the real value of the people who serve it. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your support of the Champaign County workers.
Thank you. Janae Weishart.
Good evening. My name's Janae Weishart. I work at the state's attorney's office here in Champaign County. I have been there for 19 years. 19. And every time we come to the negotiating table, we deal with the same thing. There's no money. Nothing for the employees. 19 years I have dedicated my life working 8 to 4:30. The majority of it is overtime, which I don't get paid for, by the way. I do it so I make sure everything gets done the way it's supposed to be. And it's not very much to ask for decent living wage and affordable health insurance, especially for me and the rest of my employees. I have 4 children I take care of, and I've been here 19 years, and I'm now having to work a part-time job so I can make it, and my kids can make it. Thank you.
Bobby Johnson.
Sorry. Hi, board members. Nice to see you again. I'm Bobby Johnson. I've been here 20 plus years. I work in the public defender's office. I'm not sure where to begin. I think a lot of this has been covered. I don't know. We're back here again talking about, pretty much the same things, but, I was looking in some of the paperwork and that I found online where it says in your 2025 budget priorities, it says, something, let me see. It says, where in your 2025 budget priorities does it say anything about your employees? You have some things in there, about what you want to make prioritized in your 2025 employee priorities, but there's nothing about employees in there. Can you explain, like, why or how do you really feel about your employees? There's nothing in there about them. You have a lot of different things prioritized, but there's nothing about the employees. If anyone would like to explain at some point in time and email me or get back to me, I'd like to know that, because you're all talk about how the employees are so special to you and the employees, run Champaign County, and you like to, respect them, and they do the job for you and everything, but you haven't shown them any of that respect. We do go to the bargaining sessions, and, we're having a really hard time with that right now. And we just really feel like we don't have the back of, the labor committee or anyone really showing up to show that, we have, the county's back at all. I would just like to know if we could get an explanation on any of that. Do you have the employees back, or are we just another person that you can replace? A lot of employees, the longer time employees, we are obviously here because we want to be here. We are making a difference. We have the knowledge. We have the knowledge you can't put in a handbook. Things that everyone comes to us about. Me, 20 years, I've worked in 2 different departments. I have that institutional knowledge that you're not going to find anywhere else. But you get somebody who's been here, 6 months to a year, and they can't stand working for the county because of one reason or another or something like that. And you want to know how to retain an employee. I think you can, find that answer within yourself. Show us by having our backs. Give us a living wage for our homes, for our groceries, for our families, for our health care. We are dedicated. Like I said, that's why we're here. Something else, while I was here at the last board meeting, somehow it got brought up and mentioned. I don't know, I can't recollect the details, but It was brought up that the non-union members got a certain percentage, and then it was retroed back to the first of the year. But then the union employees weren't even offered that same percentage until after it was brought up at that board meeting. I don't know if any of you were aware of that, but that's what happened. Then when we were in negotiations that following week, we were then offered that same percentage in our negotiated meeting. So, I mean, I don't know what that tells you, but that kind of gave us a little slap in the face that we weren't even up to that same percentage until after that was announced at that county board meeting. That was a little slap in our face to us. We felt kind of, like, so that was in place the whole time, but we weren't even, considered that until that was out in the open. So that, really shows us a lot, shows how respected we were as county employees. Union employees. So maybe if we were non-union, we'd, feel a little bit more respected in our job at the Champaign County as we are. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. George Danos. You have 5 minutes, George.
Hi, I'd like to second much of what Natalie Nagel brought up with respect to the unionized employees of my own office. You have no doubt by now read that the Office of the County Auditor is not willing under current directives and conditions to move out of the Brookings Administrative Center. I must give you a bit of history about the plan for the Brookings as it existed for over 2 years, only to be rearranged after the builder had finished work and after which no alteration could take place. The Director of Administration recently offered my fourth floor auditor space, which has 6 offices, to the sheriff for the placement of the Emergency Management Agency's 2 employees. The sheriff welcomes the idea of having the whole 4th floor, even though he had previously had no plans to move this subdepartment to the Bennett at all. My space had been designated auditor in the Bennett blueprints for more than 2 years. I had worked with the architect to design the assigned space that fit our needs for everything. On March 3rd, the county executive sprung on me a switcheroo, saying that it's necessary for the sheriff to preempt my space simply to have EMA on the same floor as the sheriff, as opposed to being 2 flights below. Now, imagine my surprise when I looked at the plans, and what I was offered was 2 small offices and a large 2,340 square foot romper room. To try to be a sport, I asked the facilities manager whether we could have floor-to-ceiling interior walls constructed, and he told me it'd be expensive and too late. If it's too late to build those walls now, then it is too late to assign the Office of the County Auditor to that open space. I ask, what good reason is there to give space for 6 auditors to 2 EMA and space for 2 EMA to 6 auditors? It can't be done. The suggestion was, I think, a wasteful one and almost, I hate to say, predictable if you thought about the possible political motivation. There was obvious. The county executive and his appointed director thought that their referendum to eliminate the auditor would pass, but instead of listening to the voters who elected to keep the auditor statutorily, the administration seeks, by other means, to eliminate my office physically. At least that's my point of view. If you didn't build interior walls in the entire northeast quadrant of the 2nd floor, what plans did you have? I have plans, physical plans that show that even in 2023, 10 distinct offices were to be carved out for the sake of IT. The fact that only 2 finished offices were constructed shows that all along the intention must have been to place EMA there. EMA's 2nd floor space is wholly inadequate for the Office of the County Auditor, but perfectly adequate for them. I estimate that it would cost about $50,000 for the purchase and installation of partitions on the 2nd floor to barely meet our needs, needs which can be fully met and are readily available to us now on the 4th floor at no additional cost. If you divide $50,000 by 500 unionized employees, that'd be an additional $100 per year for them. I did bring this issue up also at the April Finance Agenda Review meeting. The present former auditor and current board member, John Farney, affirmed the need of the deputy auditors to have separate private space for a host of reasons. For example, the discretion you need when discussing personally identifying information, such as social security numbers and employee garnishments. And he noted that they currently have individualized offices with actual constructed walls, just as do nearly all of the offices in the $23.5 million renovated Bennett. The review board was astonished. Why does he, the sheriff, get all that? Is it just because he's the sheriff? No, Michelle ad-libbed, it's for safety. Now, this board will recall that it approved only 2 months ago a $48,500 appropriation to bulletproof all the transaction windows on the 4th floor. So, including mine, what I'm saying is mine. So again, I detect a post hoc rationalization that is not convincing. Another rationale is that the swap would place my office next to the treasurer's and thus unify finance. But the budget director and the finance specialist are under administration and are on the 5th floor. So again, they're not really unified. Administration can't play honest broker between me and another countywide officer, especially because this late discovered need was in fact initiated by the admin herself rather than by the sheriff. The sheriff asked me to take it up with Steve and Michelle asked me to take it up with the sheriff. Well, if neither inherently object to my staying put, and I definitely want to stay, the office originally guaranteed to me and my space should stay. How can this be done if no one asserts any authority? I think the public who pays for this county government can see what ought to be done. The chief of law enforcement should set a good example and renounce this, what I regard as hot goods that were never his to accept and were never theirs to offer him. So, harsh words, but I must stand up for my office, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes public input. Moving on, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Okay, motion by JJ, second by Ed. Could the clerk please call the roll?
Greer.
Yes.
Hanauer Friedman.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Sexton. Storr.
Yes.
Sullard.
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes.
Vanish Theronot.
Yes.
Wiggs.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Cagle.
Yes.
Cowart.
Yes.
Crane.
Yes.
Farney.
Yes.
Fava.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on, we have presentations. First up is murals at the Juvenile Detention Center.
Hi, everyone. My name's Shannon Siders. I am the director of the Probation and Court Services Department. I know we have some new board members that I haven't met yet. So just a quick brief history about my employment with the county. I started out at the Juvenile Detention Center in 2002. I was an officer out there for 4 years. I became a supervisor out at the detention center. In 2017, I moved over to adult probation. And then in 2023, I was promoted to the director. So I've only been in this role for a little over 2 years now. And I have with me Leslie Kimball, who is a local artist, and Patricia Hall, who is our superintendent at the Juvenile Detention Center. And we wanted to share some good news with you guys. We're not here asking for money. So that's good news right off. So we did some murals that we wanted to share with you guys. Some of you have been to our facility, but I don't think anyone has actually seen most of the murals in person yet. So we wanted to share some photos. Leslie's going to talk a little bit about the experience she had creating the murals and the work she did with the juveniles who are in our custody. And we have a whole little slideshow that we would not have without Kate, the grant coordinator. Kate helped us. She actually put the slideshow together, and she'd worked with Leslie to get the grant to do some of the murals. But just a little background on the murals. When
Tish was promoted to be the superintendent in 2023. She had just been to some other detention centers in the state and had seen the murals in their facilities and said, we need to do this mural thing. So I started trying to find a local artist that I thought would potentially be willing to come into the detention center and do a mural and do it for a reasonable amount of money. And I had been following Leslie's work on social media. She was doing a lot of window art. So you may have seen her window art throughout the community. She's done several business windows. And so I started following her on social media. And then she eventually asked for if there was like a hospital or a nonprofit or an agency like that that would be interested in a mural. And so I did the cool thing now. I DM'd her and asked if she would be interested in looking at the detention center to do some murals, and she was interested. So the three of us met and kind of came up with a plan to involve the juveniles in custody in creating some murals, and I'll let her talk about that for a little bit. But she's trying to expand her own portfolio of work and was willing to give us a heavily discounted at cost rate for the first mural that we did, which I paid for myself. Didn't use any county money to pay for it. Just wanted to do it and see what the process would look like. And Leslie gave us a really good deal. And so she'll talk in a minute about how we worked with the juveniles to come up with the idea and the design. And then the actual mural we did last summer. And then we wanted to do more murals, but I wasn't going to be able to afford to finance all of them, and we didn't want to use county money for that. So Leslie worked with Kate, and Leslie found a grant and applied, and Kate helped, and we got that grant, and Leslie was able to do more murals. So I'm going to start the little presentation, and Leslie's going to kind of talk you through what some of the work looked like and how we came up with it.
Okay, so do you have one from the first mural, the education mural? Okay, this is the first mural that we did in June. It's in an education room, and we're showing Senator Schweiger, Representative Schweitzer. Yes, thank you. This mural, he came to visit and see the entire process or all of the walls that we were going to be doing with the residents. So that is the first mural we did.
The quote that's on the mural actually came from one of the juveniles in custody.
Yeah, so to accomplish this mural and to come up with a design that I felt was inspiring to the residents, I decided to meet with the residents. We did an art project in the summer where I came and met with two groups of the residents there. We did an art project where we talked about what inspired them and gave them hope and for their future, because I felt like it was more beneficial to create art that inspired them versus create art that I felt was inspiring to them. Does that make sense? So I gave them questionnaires that we went through, and we talked about who in their life inspires them. What are statements in their life that inspires them? What gives them hope for something outside of the walls? And follow your dreams was one of them. We talked about just like giving a more expansive view for the residents within the walls that they are around all the time. So that was what inspired this first mural. And the boys had so much fun that we decided to start looking for funding for additional murals. The Illinois Arts Council offered a grant, and Kate helped me submit what was my first grant ever. I've since done a couple others, but this was the first one. We did about 1,300 square feet, over 100 hours of work. That is, I am counting the hours of every resident that helped me, as well as my assistants. We started the first series of murals in the dining hall. This is the gym, and we did 3 walls in the gym. So a little fun story about that quote on the wall. It's from the Lowe's employee. that I get my paint from. He likes to follow the work that I do, and so when he found out I was working with the residents, this is a quote: "Always remember that you are greater than you think you are," that he tells his kids. And I felt like if he could tell his kids that, our kids in the juvenile detention center need to hear that too. The wave mural was the first mural we did in the dining room. Yes, the one where the arrow is swinging around. So we had one of the boys talked about in preparation for all of these 5 murals on 6 walls with the grant money from Illinois Arts Council. We did another art class with the residents and another series of questions, same thing. So they kind of knew the drill, but I wanted to get a fresh start, and blue was a very common inspirational color for the boys, and waves, and we talked about waves being like emotions. So that is what inspired this first mural in the dining room. These are the residents helping me. A lot of times I felt like it was a very meditative and calm experience for me and any of my helpers that were there and the boys. They took great pride in helping and would step back a lot and be like, "We did this. This is so cool." I think there was at least 1 or 2 times when I was told I wasn't going to get to paint with all of the residents together. And we kind of proved them wrong, and they were all in the same gym together painting, and we were just having a great time. So this was the second mural in the gym that we painted, I think on the north side of the gym. South? Okay, south. It was really fun to experience each residents' interests or not interests, but there was a lot of, I think a very fulfilling part for me was to inspire the residents that you can actually have a job doing something that you love. I am a full-time artist, and I talked to the residents, and they even asked me if I would hire them if they got out. There were boys that like really had attention to detail, like super into it.
There was one in particular who helped with the first one in the classroom, and he wanted to be able to come back to help with the next ones. And we said, no, we really don't want you to come back to help with more murals, but follow up with Leslie when you get out.
Yes, yes. Okay, we're getting to the next, the third mural that we did in the gym. And this one is based on a meditation that I have gone through over the last year about how all of life is about our attention and intention. And we talked about that with the boys about just how our life, what we give attention to is really important. The interaction they had with my assistants was super positive, and I could not speak more highly about this experience. If we can get more funding, I would love to bring a variety of community artists in to do regular art classes with the residents, because I think this project proves that art is healing and therapeutic and can restore so many aspects in our bodies and our minds and our lives and experiences. And this project was called Art Inspires because I really do believe that the art that the residents had, they did get to sign their initials, was putting a stamp of importance of how important their lives are, no matter where they're at in life. So anyways, thanks for letting us share. Is there one more? This is the second mural in the dining room. It covered 2 walls, and it was a space mural talking about how we're all messy and not to compare each of our experiences with each other. So I think just the experience of working alongside students and having fun in positive ways was just such a rewarding experience for me. And I'm just so glad we got to share this with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our coroner, Lori Brower, has an update for us.
So if it's red, is it on? Okay, all right. Thank you. I'm here to provide an update on the coroner's office. We are an often forgot about office that nobody really likes to sit and think about, but I appreciate what we do and how we do it. I did pass a memo around. I apologize for not getting it to you guys earlier. This is my first time, so next time I promise I'll have it to you sooner. I want to start with some key points. I'm not going to read the memo to you, but I want to let you first know how amazing the staff is. Since I took office in December, we're working with 3 full-time deputies. 2 spots are still vacant. I have filled them and they'll start later, but that really won't change the stuff I'm going to talk to you about tonight. I want to specifically call out Joe, Shelby, and Peyton, Gabby, and Martha, who have been amazing to step up and do what's needed to do for the office while we are working on a heavier caseload. They have put in input and helped to make some changes so the office is more efficient, so that their workload is a little bit less burdensome. But working with only 1 deputy on at a time is hard. This is not an easy job. And it's especially difficult when you go from call to call to call without a break, which they have done 3 times in the last 3 weeks. Once they didn't even have time to come back to the office. And a typical call out for us can last anywhere from 3 to 8 hours. And so while someone is tied up on that call, there is no one else covering the county. So I'm stepping up to do that and to help them. The chief deputy right now is covering the open shift that we have so that the deputies, they are offered it first. We do follow that contract 100%. They're tired. They don't really want to do it anymore. And so the chief deputy is stepping up and covering, or I'm covering those open shifts for them. They've done a really good job at focusing on the families. Focusing on the families is something that I was very passionate about before and did not take long at all to shift the mindset of the office to where those families come first. I can tell you that since December 1st, we have had no angry families call our office. And that's amazing. And that is a true testament to how they are staying in contact with their families, keeping them updated, and really helping them through the process. A lot of them don't understand about. So we did have a spike during COVID and then a drop. We are now trending back up. So I have some numbers in your packet for you that I'll just touch on briefly. So since December of 2024, that's when we've really tracked this increase. At this time last year, April 23rd, 2024, we were at 597 deaths. So as of yesterday, we're at 645. We have our homicides are increased, like everything is just kind of trending up. But I want to talk about some of the specific accomplishments that we've had. A lot of people don't realize that organ procurement can only happen through the coroner's office. Every case for the procurement has to get approved by me. That process was horrible. It really was. Like, I've been in the office a little over 4 years, and you just cringed every time Gift of Hope called. It was a horrible process that none of us enjoyed. Now I find out Gift of Hope didn't enjoy it either. They cringed just as much to have to call us as we did for them to call because of the way that our office was set up to do these cases. It just was not pleasant for anyone. Since December 1st, since I worked in the office, we kind of talked about how things could be better. That was one of the instant changes that we made. All of those cases come directly to me now. They don't go through the deputies, and I review them all so that the deputies don't have to. That's a huge, huge task that has lifted off of them. And everybody's happier. Gift of Hope is happier. I've met with them so many times, and the process is pretty seamless now at this point. And I'm excited to tell you that 100% of the cases presented to me have been approved for donation. And that hasn't, I asked them for numbers compared to the years before, and they didn't have time to get them to me. But I can tell you it's a huge increase. The other thing that we did was finish out the unclaimed property. That was started a year ago, but it was very slow moving. So it was also kind of frustrating for the staff just the way that it was. And it was a lot of stuff in our way. We didn't have space. And so that was something that everybody kind of teamed together to finish out. And we finished that in February. It didn't take us long. They were very motivated to get it done. And so was I. So that was great. We still do need to address over a decade's worth of DNA cards, histology slides, biological samples, and tissue samples. So we'll tackle those each, probably one at a time, until we can get those cleared out too. We were left with a couple of cases I didn't really know about that are going to be a little challenging for us. They're a couple years old, and we're going to need to work with the state police, maybe the FBI, to get those done. So that's something that we'll be working on. I did have a big chart in here for you, just to kind of compare where we are compared to the other counties. I actually reached out to every other county coroner in the state. I didn't think I got much of a response, but I'm told 23% was pretty good. So I got 23% responded back to me. I took the 4 that were above us in population size and 4 that were below us that responded, and that's how I came up with the chart. Something to note is a lot of these might look different than actually how they present. There's a county that's bigger than us that has fewer deputies, but they don't do removals. They don't have Carl Hospital, which is an amazing resource for us here in the area. But the busier Carl is, the busier we are. Carl is the #1 busiest emergency department in the entire state. That shows with our caseload. They transfer patients in for that higher level of care. And they are critical, and they don't always make it. What that does to us is not just increase our caseload, it makes it harder. It's so much harder when the people aren't from Champaign County, where the maybe traumatic incident didn't happen in Champaign County. We spend sometimes hours or days trying to find where this incident occurred. They go to the hospital. The hospital doesn't care where this happened at. They need to save that person's life. Where it happened, we always ask, do you know where this happened? They never know. They never know. If it's a car accident, it was on an interstate somewhere. Okay, so then we might find that. You don't know whether the road that it was on is covered by the state police, the county police, the local township police. We don't know. And we don't know until we figure out the exact spot where that accident happened. Sometimes it takes days. So then once we find that out, we have to track down the agency, the police agency, the EMS agency. Like it takes us a very long time to find some of this information. So that just adds to the caseload. The deputies now are paid for every hour that they work, every one of them. And that's huge, and that's explained more in the memo. We are in a staffing crisis, though. We have the 5 full-time deputies, but if you do basic math, to cover 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nights, weekends, holidays, death waits for no one, and we have to be available. So 1 deputy on at a time doesn't cut it. They're tired. We're tired. I'm tired. So I'm asking, and I want to start the conversation and the process to get an additional 3 deputies. And that is explained more in the memo, too, of how I came to that conclusion. If you look at the stats that I provided, you could see that just based on numbers alone, we should probably have 10 to 13 deputies. We're doing this with 3. I can't tell you how much longer we can keep this up because it's a lot. It's a lot. We, as I was coming into the meeting today, we got called out again. So in our day shift, there's not a lot of difference in the numbers from our night shift. And that includes the calls and the call outs. So that's where we're at with that. I want to thank you guys. I am very grateful for all the support and the help that I've been given as I transition into this role. I want to go. Did you have a question?
I just have one. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're
I do have one question that you didn't speak to it, and I know that this is a shining light. Talk to me about death certificates. Are they processing more quickly now than they used to?
I wrote that to the side. I did because I'm like, I did forget that. Because of the things that we have done to make the office more efficient, because it's definitely not because we have so much staff that we are able to just do this and get it done. But the things that we've done, and because making the families is a priority, we are at the lowest ever that we can look at amount of open death certificates. We're getting them signed out faster. And again, it's a lot of the process, and it's kind of one of those, this is just the way it's always been done. Nobody was really open to change, but we sat down as a staff and talked about it. We looked at the statutes, like what is actually required, and we were able to significantly cut down the paperwork that we have to do, not the research or the reviewing of any records, but the actual paperwork. We significantly cut that down. We're looking at, and I have a budget for this, I don't need money for it, software, which is like going to cut down even more. Like it's, almost like a drop down, and you can just do those things instead of right now we're manually filling all that stuff in. So it would cut down on that even more. But yeah, I'm very excited about, thank you, because I forgot about that. We're very excited about how fast we are getting these done. Yeah.
What did you say the reason was that Champaign County investigates deaths twice as often as opposed to like McHenry County and DuPage County?
Carl.
Okay.
So both of those, because I said the same thing. I seriously, I emailed them right back. I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, what are we not doing right? They transfer out. They don't have a trauma center. Even DuPage County, which is the second largest county in the state, their people go into Cook County. So they don't have a facility like Carl where they're getting the ones that require the investigation. So they still have more deaths, but they're more of a natural. Plus, they have a process, which I don't think we would ever get to do here, where they could respond to a home death, which here is an automatic coroner case, but they call the physician from the scene and ask the physician if they'll take it on. I don't ever see that happening here, but they do that.
Go ahead, JJ.
Thanks, Lori, for all of this. And I know you and I have talked. First off, yes, this first 6 months of your term, you've seen things that most people wouldn't have imagined. You've had some periods of time that have just been ridiculous. So we're always thinking about you.
Thank you.
Do you know, through your association, has there ever been any discussion about legislation or possibilities for coroners' offices to somehow generate revenue through a surcharge on things or anything like that, like we have with so many of our other offices, where they're able to tack on a little something to help cover some of these costs, especially in counties like Champaign County that have a trauma center where we're taking on population that doesn't actually live here?
Not that I know of, but we've talked about it within our office to generate some revenue, because we did lose the revenue from the pathologist. We have done a few things. We've done removals for funeral homes and charged them. We are offering storage for a charge.
One other.
Go ahead.
Any possibility of finding a pathologist? Are you still looking at that avenue, or is that ship sailed?
So I want to start. I need to figure out how to do that. I've actually reached out to Carl and kind of not officially, kind of unofficially, and said, would you be willing to help me recruit a physician? Is there any possibility that a physician could be shared? Like, we need a forensic pathologist. They do not have forensic pathologists, but they have pathologists. And it was something that people were willing to talk about. Or maybe it was brought up that they could offer some benefits, the benefits portion. I've also reached out to the U of I College of Medicine. You know, I said, which we do transports for them and for a fee, so that's a little bit of revenue. And I said, what does your pathologist do? Like, you know, because not every autopsy would require a forensic pathologist, but he said they have a hard time too. I said, would you be willing to help us again? So I'm like, if the three of us maybe can work together, I'm a little bit more hopeful.
Further questions? Go ahead. Dr. Storr.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I put this in a context, appreciated your accommodating me and visiting your office, and I was kind of unaware of kind of the cold storage stuff and the long-term archive of biological stuff. How's it going in trying to clear some of that up, along with trying to keep up with the matters that kind of keep coming up?
Yeah, and that's what I was talking a little bit about. And it's more explained, I think, in the memo. So the property's done. That was huge. It was literally in our way. There was a lot of stuff. So the next phase that we've moved on to were the tissue samples. Those are also overflowing the storage area. So that was why we prioritized that. What we didn't realize until we looked into this was how daunting and expensive it is to dispose of that. So it's stored in formalin, which has to be neutralized. And it's a 50-50 mix. The neutralizer is $238 per 5 gallons. We've already gone through 2 5-gallon containers. We can only dispose of once it's neutralized, the formalin, in 1 gallon sessions, and no more than 5 gallons a month. It's not good for the environment. It is not good for our water supply. And we are following that to the T. We are not disposing of any more than we're allowed. I actually even called the EPA today just to verify everything's good and we're doing it right, but it's going to be expensive. We haven't even, I asked them, and I don't know if they did, to count how many jars we did with these 5 gallons, and I don't know if they didn't or if they didn't get me the information, but you can't even tell we've started.
Is that something that is disposed of through the sanitary district, or is that a hazard? Okay.
Yeah, we pour it down the sink once it's neutralized. But again, no more than 5 gallons a month, 1 gallon at a time. And then the tissue, we have to pay our waste disposal company extra to do that. And then we'll tackle the histology and the other biological samples after these.
Any more questions for Lori from the board? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. And I would love to invite everyone to come stop by the office. I'm not a total talker unless it's about work, and then you can't shut me up usually. So I'm very happy to show everyone around and so they can see, what we have going on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kathy Larson has our ARPA update. Welcome, Kathy.
Good evening. Thank you for moving the topic up. We have our quarterly reporting due by the end of this month to the Department of Treasury, so we're working on that. And we did hear from the EDC about their small business grant program, and that's the $400,000 on the small business assistance. They do plan to have the Small Business Development Center launch a couple of programs during the Small Business Week in May, starting May 5th. And so Their website, I think, is cusbdc.org. So Champaign-Urbana Small Business Development Corporation.org, but it's abbreviated for the website address. And they do have a third program that they, I think, already have underway. So it's on their website currently. And if we get any news releases, we'll pass those along as well. And I'd be happy to try to answer any other specific questions.
Questions for Kathy? Chris?
Sure. I think I sent you a laundry list. Do you want to try to go through some of that?
Yeah, I did make a few notes this afternoon. The Chamber Microloan Program, ARPA funding was committed, I think $186,000 was committed for that program. We've dispersed $135,000 to them for that program. And as of last fall, they had made about 8 to 10 loans to small businesses, about $80,000 worth. And they've also used some funds for administration and marketing. We can ask for an additional update since those numbers from last fall. And their chamber e-commerce program, they have about $25,000 left in the ARPA funding. The original commitment was $114,000. They did have at least 8 businesses on their website for the e-commerce, and I don't know any new updates since then. And then the Sangamon Valley Public Water District, yeah, go ahead.
Did you do the low hurdle loan? Did I miss that?
Yes, so they actually plan to launch, they have 3 kind of sub-programs. 2 of them plan to launch the week of May 5th, Small Business Week. And the third program is actually available now. It's on their website. So 3 different options for small businesses for funding. 2 of the programs plan to start the week of May 5th. And it's cusbdc.org for the information.
Could we get a link or how do we just kind of go search for it ourselves?
Yes, so if you just, you should be able to type in just the www.cusbdc.org. And it stands for Champaign-Urbana Small Business Development Center. And once you get on their webpage, there's a little link at the top for programs that has more information. And they do plan to add more information by May 5th, is what Carly told me.
Okay, it sure be nice if they'd share some of that with the granting agency.
Yes, if we get, press release information or other stuff, we'll forward it. So, yeah. The other 2 items that you'd asked about, the Sangamon Valley Public Water District, ARPA funding was a commitment of $500,000. There's about $115,000 left. And all the invoices so far that we've reimbursed them for are towards engineering design for the northward expansion of their district. So everything that we've reimbursed so far is for engineering invoices for that design work. And then you had asked about the VOLO rural broadband expansion. And so the 4.7 million projection for this year, they do plan to use that fully this year for, and beyond that amount this year for construction. And that includes the labor, the equipment, the materials, all the design work. And so the construction itself, they had projected about 5 months to actually get the work done once the construction begins. And so they do plan to spend all that and beyond this year. Yeah.
Jeff.
Thank you, County Executive. Thank you for being here. A follow-up question on the low hurdle grant program. Is there a threshold that a business can ask for as far as dollar amount? Or can one business come in and ask for $400,000? Or is it 10 businesses? Or how does that work?
They do have a threshold, and I don't know those details offhand, and it wasn't available on the website just yet. The first program that's currently available now has assistance for marketing related design services for logos and assisting businesses with marketing aspects. The next two programs will help businesses pay different costs of operating their businesses. And I don't know the threshold offhand. We'd have to look it up.
One more question. So no business has yet to apply for this.
There are three different kind of sub-programs of the funding. One program is currently available now for that marketing aspect to help businesses with their design of logos and things. It's, I think I wrote that down. It's called Brand Refresh. And so that's currently available now. And then the other two programs will become available in May. May 5th is the projected date.
All right.
Any other questions for Kathy? Seeing none, thank you very much, Kathy. All right, on to communications. Do members of the board have communications to share? Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thanks. I'm a little bummed that no more members of AFSCME are here at this time, but I'm always happy to see them in our meetings. Last week, no, I'm sorry, it was 2 weeks ago now, we presented a proposal to members of AFSCME. We sent a letter to department heads and all members of this board explaining our proposal. We also had a closed session outlining some of the specifics of that proposal. I can tell you without revealing anything that was said in closed session that it was farther than most expected the board to go, and certainly farther than department heads had expected the board to go, our board labor committee, I should say. So I wanted to give an overview of that here in public, giving more kind of context to this. The News Gazette will be giving an overview of some of our proposal, I believe tomorrow or in the next couple weeks, because of the historic nature of what we are offering AFSCME. The package includes increasing the county's contribution to employee premiums for dependent health insurance coverage from $90 to $200 for spouses, $95 to $250 for children, and $100 to $300 for families. Passing the entire 5% decrease in health insurance premium costs onto the employees. Adding a floating holiday. Increasing the AFSCME salary wage scale, 20% to the minimum and to the maximum for fiscal year 2025, and then an additional 10 cents in 2026, and then an additional 10 cents in 2027, bringing our lowest paid person at $16.13 per hour. Also, a 3% cost of living adjustment for 2025, retroactive to January 1st, 2025, and a 2% or same as non-bargaining, whichever is higher, for fiscal year 2026 and 2027. In addition, a scaling one-time bonus tied to years of service that will be between $500 and $1,500. Finally, we have expanded our paid parental leave policy from 2 weeks paid leave to 12 weeks paid parental leave. We are among the first counties in the state to offer such a benefit. So I think it's important that we share. I know we are all working really hard to get a proposal passed with AFSCME. I also just want to add, I'm thrilled and pleased to finally hear from AFSCME about this proposal. It has been 2 weeks since we have heard from that bargaining unit. And now I suppose this is their response to the proposal that I just outlined. So I'm happy to hear the response, eager to get back to bargaining. That is an expectation that is pretty well cemented in expectations of fair bargaining and bargaining in good faith. So again, I look forward to coming back to the bargaining table. We put a lot of thought and a lot of work and a lot of sweat, a lot of angst into the proposal that we presented to AFSCME. I can tell you I'm proud of the proposal that we presented. I can tell you the Labor Committee is proud and a little bit frightened by what we proposed to AFSCME. So I'm happy to report that to the public. Thanks.
For the communications, JJ.
Yeah, I would just like to take a moment to recognize the outgoing mayor of St. Joe, Tammy Fruling-Vogus. She'll be having her last meeting as mayor of St. Joe before we have our next meeting. Tammy's been mayor for 8 years. She's worked with us here at the county on many issues, and she's also a member of the RPC board, and we appreciate her dedication and public service. She served on their village board for many years before being mayor, and she's always been someone that the county could count on to help accomplish things for the community. So we're going to miss her. Thanks.
Jeff.
Thank you. 2 items. Sad week for many. There's about 1.38, almost 1.4 billion Catholics on the earth out of 9 billion people. So that's about 15% of the world's population are Catholics. And so they lost their Pope this week on Monday following Easter Sunday. So Pope Francis is the 266th Pope. That's amazing, over all these 20 centuries. So he's the 266th Pope, and he is the first Pope that's from Latin America. Anyway, heart goes out to all the Catholics and condolences, and in the next process to find their next leader. So that's number 1. And then number 2, today is Holocaust Remembrance Day or Memorial Day. So about 11 million people were killed, slaughtered through a lot of means and methods, more like an industrial killing ground that the Germans established in the 1940s. So that's 11 million people in a few years. 7 million were Jews. So the other sad note is that here in as of 2024, the violence against Jews or anti-Semitism in the United States has risen almost 900%. So in 2024, there are over 9,000 violent incidents in the United States against the Jewish population. So anti-Semitism is a real deal. It's really happening even here in the United States, and it should stop.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I have 2 things. One, it's marathon weekend, so they're coming into town right now to get checked in and get their chips and all the fun stuff. The 5Ks tomorrow. There's a half marathon. There is the full marathon. So look out for people as they're running. Clap if you can. Let's be supportive. It goes through Urbana, Champaign, and I know the people of Savoy are very happy that it goes through Savoy now too. So be supportive if you see them. It's a huge economic impact to our community. We're happy for that. Also, tularemia. You may know it as rabbit fever. You may not know it at all. Squirrels have it in the area. It can pass to humans. So if you see a dead animal, contact CUPHD. They have people looking into it. They want to make sure that we don't have an outbreak. Dead squirrels in Urbana have tested positive for it, and in Tuscola earlier today, there was one. So Douglas County has issued a warning as well. So if you see ill animals, contact somebody. Thank you.
Chris.
Thank you. I have 2 items. The first is that the Champaign County Carbon Dioxide Sequestration Activities Task Force met on Monday and discussed aspects of carbon dioxide sequestration, and we were fortunate to have Nobel laureate Dr. Don Wubbles come and speak about climate change and also some other folks from the Illinois State Geological Survey who've done a good deal of research in Illinois and around the world. and not, and also a colleague, Dr. George Roadcamp, spoke about the Muhammad Aquifer. Mostly we got the engineering side of things with the Muhammad Aquifer. The next meeting will be most the scientific side, and it was going to be on May 12th. That some members might not, or don't seem to be able to make that. So we're looking into the possibility of rescheduling, and more will be come to be passed along later. And thanks to my colleague, Mr. Forney, reminds me that Urbana Mayor Laurel Pressing has served also for 2 terms and will be passing the torch to Mr. Deshaun Williams. Huh? I'm sorry. Mayor Marlin. Huh? Marlin. Gosh. Boy, it must be, it's terrible getting old. Anyway, and Mayor Marlin had a number of notable achievements in her tenure, and I'm very happy to announce that the Hotel Royer is now open. Hooray.
Anyone else? Any other members? I'm sorry, Beth.
Just a public service announcement. The Champaign Central High School is putting on Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You've missed tonight. Friday and Saturday will be at 7 p.m. Sunday will be at 2:30 p.m. If you want to see a lot of singing, dancing, incredibly talented young folks, it's at the Decker Theater right at Champaign. Tickets are $10.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, moving on, approval of the minutes. There was a member of the clerk's office that was out this week, so we do not have the minutes for the March 2025 regular meeting, but can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the March 25th study session that you have at your place? Beth, the motion, second with Jenny. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, standing committees, summary of action taken at the April 8th facilities meeting is received and placed on file. Summary of action taken at the April 10th, 2025 ELEC meeting is received and placed on file. Would the ELEC chair like to make the committee's recommendation for item number 1?
I move to approve ordinance number 2025-7, granting a special use permit for a 135 megawatt solar farm with accessory 135 megawatt battery energy storage system, and including 3 waivers of standard conditions, and approving a solar farm decommissioning and site reclamation plan in zoning case 144S24.
Can we have a second? Second, Daniel. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Jamala.
Thank you. I am currently employed at Meyer Capel. The firm represents Baywa. I do not represent Baywa, and I've not participated in their representation, but since my firm represents the company, I will abstain from voting on this issue.
Thank you.
And I
Further
would add,
discussion?
if there's questions, John Hall is here tonight too.
Further discussion? Any questions for John? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. All right. Summary of action taken at the April 11th highway meeting is received and placed on file. Summary of action taken at the April 15th committee of the whole meeting received and placed on file. Would the finance chair like to make the committee's recommendation for item number 1?
Yes, I would move for the adoption of resolution number 2025-136, approving budget amendment BUA 2025-3407 to increase appropriations of $500,000 for Fund 2083 County Highway Department 060 Highway. Reason, initial investment for the Highway Department solar panels.
Second by JJ. Any discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Greer,
Yes.
Hanover Friedman,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Sexton, Storr,
Yes.
Sullard,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Vantage Theorenot,
Yes.
Wiggs,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Cagle,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Crane,
Yes.
Farney,
Yes.
Fava,
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Would the finance chair like to make the committee's recommendation for item number 2?
Yes. Recommend adoption of resolution number 2025-137, approving award of contract for voter registration and poll book software and vendor support pursuant to RFP 2024-005. And the clerk is here for this and the next 2 items as well, if there are any questions.
Can I have a second? Second by Jamala. Motion and a second. Is discussion. Go ahead.
I just want to publicly thank the clerk for all, thank you. Thank you so much for all the work you put into making sure that we had effective software for fair elections that will be done without incident in the future, and for considering the county's financial state and doing everything you could to bring the cost down and find grant funding to the extent possible. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments or discussion points? Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. And thank you, Clerk Ammons, for figuring out a way to reduce the costs. Thank you very much for that. This is more of a informational question. The 10X Election Desk Voter Central and the 10X Election Desk Precinct Central. Can you, well, I just want to know, is it possible, if we really wanted to save money and still have fair, free, adequate elections, to only have the voter central versus the precinct central add-on?
Grand evening, everyone. No.
I love the short answer, but can you elaborate just a little bit? Thank you.
The voter registration, which would be separate from the other one, and believe me, there's several different modules, so if I get some of the names mixed up. But one of them is poll book, which means that the iPads have to be purchased or to go along with it because that's their package. And without that, they did not feel that the security would be up to date if we use the laptops that we currently use. So there's a disconnect, there's a need to have the voter central as well as precinct central so that the software matches the program that they feel comfortable with from a security standpoint. That is the explanation that I've been given to that very question.
All right, one more question.
Sure.
So 10X has a lot of modules. Are you thinking about adding more as time goes on, or just sticking with these 2?
No, I believe we have everything that we need to run the election through the modules that we have as a part of the current program or the current proposal.
All right, thank you.
Further questions for the clerk on this? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-138, approving budget amendment 2025/4/285, Fund 2628, Election Assistance, Accessibility, Department 22, County Clerk, increased appropriations, $178,850, increased revenue, 0, appropriation of funds for the 10X contract. Can I have a motion? Motion by Lorraine, second by Ellie. Discussion. Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Greer.
Yes.
Hanover Friedman.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Sexton. Storr.
Yes.
Sullard.
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes.
Banish Thiernot.
Yes.
Wiggs.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Cagle.
Yes.
Carter. Cowart.
Yes.
Crane.
Yes.
Varney.
No.
Fava.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, moving on. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of resolution number 2025-139, approving budget amendment 2025-4286, Fund 1080, General Corporate, Department 22, County Clerk, increased appropriations $235,955, increased revenue 0, reason appropriation of funds for the 10X contract. Motion by Thorsland, second by Greer. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Greer.
Yes.
Hanover Friedman.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Sexton. Storr.
Yes.
Sullard.
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes.
Banish Thiernot.
Yes.
Wiggs.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Cagle.
Yes.
Cowart.
Yes.
Crane.
Yes.
Varney.
No.
Fava.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on, policy personnel appointments. Would the policy chair like to make the committee's recommendation for item number 1?
Thank you. Thank you, County Executive Summers. Resolution number 2025-140, approving the proclamation designating the week of May 4th as National Correctional Officers Week. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated the week of May 4th as National Correctional Officer Memorial Week, and whereas the members of the Champaign County Sheriff's Office play an essential role in the criminal justice system, and whereas the contributions they make to American law enforcement, while not highly visible, are substantial. These men and women are responsible for ensuring the custody, control, and safety of inmates held in U.S. jails and prisons, directly supervising the incarceration and rehabilitation of criminal offenders. Correctional officers are an essential part of our nation's criminal justice system. And whereas the general public should fully appreciate correctional officers' capable handling of the physical and emotional demands made upon them daily. Their profession requires careful and constant vigilance, and the threat of violence is always present. At the same time, these dedicated employees try to improve the living conditions of those who are being confined. And whereas the men and women of the Champaign County Sheriff's Office unceasingly provide vital public service. Now, therefore, it is proclaimed by the Champaign County Board that the County Board calls upon all citizens of Champaign County and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 4th through May 10th, 2025, as Correctional Officer Week, with appropriate observance, which all our people may join in commemorating the correctional officers past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. It is therefore proclaimed that the Champaign County Board calls upon all citizens of Champaign County to observe the week of May 4th as National Correctional Officer Week in honor of those correctional officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty. Let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Presented, adopted, approved by the county board this 24th day of April, Anno Domini 2025. Chair,
you.
County Executive.
Can I get a motion? Motion by Farney, second by Sexton. Is there any discussion? Seeing none.
Wait.
Dr. Storr, go ahead.
We have in our presence someone who has served as a correctional officer. I've worked with correctional officers in the jail myself as part of a mental health group, and I'd like to say a particular thanks to Mr. Tom Sexton for the service. And I know and have met some of the officers who've suffered injury in the course of their work. I appreciate their service in a difficult and stressful time for all concerned.
Thank you, Chris. All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Would the policies chair like to make the committee's recommendation for item number 2?
It'd be my privilege. Resolution number 2025-141, a resolution approving the proclamation designating the week of May 11th as National Police Week. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated the week of May 11th as Peace Officers Memorial Week. Whereas the members of the Champaign County Sheriff's Office play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Champaign County. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. Whereas the men and women of the Champaign County Sheriff's Office unceasingly provide a vital public service, now, therefore, it is proclaimed by the Champaign County Board that the County Board calls upon all citizens of Champaign County and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 11th through May 17th, 2025, as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. It is further proclaimed that the Champaign County Board calls upon all citizens of Champaign County to observe the 13th day of May as Peace Officers Memorial Day, in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty. And let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Presented, adopted, approved, and recorded this 24th day of April, Anno Domini 2025. Mr. Summers.
Thank you. Got a motion by Jeff Wilson. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Crane. Before we vote, I would like to point out that this is a bonus day for Mr. Sexton. He was recognized in the earlier resolution, and I discovered today that his son is a member of Rantoul PD and sitting in the audience. So congratulations, Mr. Crane is, oh, clearly I need to work on bios a little bit more. My apologies, Member Crane. All right. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Approval of recreation and entertainment license for Aracia Gutierrez for a Spanish rodeo at the Champaign County Fairgrounds, 1302 North Kohler Avenue, Urbana, Illinois, to be held on May 4th, 2025. Can I have a motion?
Rodriguez.
Motion by Rodriguez, second by Thorsland. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-142, authorizing payment of claims? Motion from Ms. Court, second from Ellie. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Can I get a resolution to approve number 2025-143, purchases not following purchase policy? Can I get a motion from Ms. Venish-Thurnaut, second from Mr. Cagle. Any discussion? Go ahead, JJ.
I think we've asked for this in the past, but it would really be nice to know, like on one line on here for the public defender, it says vendor mailed the invoice too late. We actually know why these are on, that one is on here. The rest of it really doesn't explain it, and I would appreciate it if we could get a little more explanation as to why things are on here. Having an invoice date doesn't necessarily mean that's the date we received it. So I know we've asked for that in the past, and I would hope we could start getting that.
I will bring it up again. Thank you, JJ. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Adoption of Resolution 2025-144, approving budget amendment 2025/3396, Fund 2612, Sheriff Drug Forfeitures, Department 40, Sheriff, increased appropriation $12,009, increased revenue 0. Reason to correct a disbursement error that occurred between 2010 and 2019. Can I get a motion? Lorraine made the motion. Can I get a second? Second by Sollard. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Crane.
I had a discussion if a representative from the sheriff's office was here. I was just going to ask what was going to happen if they did not turn that $12,000 over to the state, but I don't know if anybody here can answer that.
I can certainly forward the question to Chief Herman. JJ?
I just find it funny that we have to send the state the full amount so we can get back 60% of it. Why? I'm sure the state has some fine reason for doing that, but it would just make more sense to send in the 40%. But I guess good luck with us. I hope the state's paying their bills.
Okay. All in favor, please. Oh, excuse me. This is a roll call. No, it's under 15. Oh, it indicated as such. You're right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Greer.
Yes.
Hanover Friedman.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Sexton. Storr.
Yes.
Sollard.
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes.
Vanish-Thiernaut.
Yes.
Wiggs.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Cagle.
Yes.
Court.
Yes.
Crane.
No.
Barney.
Yes.
Fava.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, moving on. Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 2025-145, approving budget amendment 2025-4-211, Fund 1080, General Corporate, Department 75, General County. Increased appropriations, $75,111.64. Increased revenue, 0. Reason, appropriation of funds for CLA to provide services for the completion of the ACFR CAFR. Can I get a motion? Motion by Ellie, second by Beth. Discussion. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. I understand why we're doing this, but I'm not sure the public understands why we do that. So is there someone here that's articulate to explain the necessity of spending this money for public record? Thank you.
Chair Locke.
I'll do it. We're doing this because our audits have been late. We've been told our audits have been late because preparation of the ACFR is too hard and too much and too burdensome. That's what the delay has been. Our outside auditor prepares these statements for the majority of their clients. And so this is not out of the ordinary for them. They can do this. They can, as long as we give them what they need, they can do a timely audit. We've not had timely audits. It's endangered grants. It's endangered everything from paying bills to the ability to even house Head Start. We could have lost the Head Start grant, and all of the children that go to preschool based on that could have lost that because of our late audits. So we're doing this because, quite simply, our current auditor has proven he cannot. Last year, we had to spend money on a person who does not work for the auditor's office to prepare the ACFR for us. This year, we're just going to leave it to the professionals.
JJ.
For the last several months, I have been beating the drum of we need to be protecting the general corporate fund. And I'm reluctantly supporting the expenditure. I support this idea wholeheartedly. I'm disappointed that we have to spend money to hire someone to do this work. But the gravity of the situation, as Chair Locke said, we can't endanger these grants. We can't continue doing what we're doing. The definition of insanity is repeating what you're doing and expecting a different result. It's been proven that we need to do something different. And even with bringing CLA on for this, there are components of it that have to be done here internally by the county. All departments have a hand in it, but the auditor's office is an integral part of it. And I hope that this will free them up to complete the tasks that they have to do for this in a timely manner. Time will tell if that's going to happen. So as I said, I'll reluctantly support spending money from the general fund's balance to do this. One positive is there are ways for us to recoup some of this money from the special revenue funds that we can bill. And so the ultimate impact will be less than that on the general fund, but it is yet again adding to the total of the deficit that we're running this year and cuts into our general fund once again.
Mr. Wilson.
Thank you for that clarification. So I think it's the annual consolidated financial report. All right, good. I'm going to get this. So I think what I'm hearing, it would be nice for the public to hear this too, that this is within the general roles and responsibilities of the auditor. Is that true or not?
That has been how it has happened in the past. That is correct, yes.
And from a risk mitigation standpoint, should the auditor repeat past history, then I'm assuming that this $75,000 could double or triple towards the end of the year to recover a loss, or not, because we have to pay someone else to do work not done, overtime, et cetera, or
It
what?
should not. This should just allow CLA to do the work that the auditor's office was unable to perform in a timely fashion. Go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, just to clarify, a big chunk of this is a one-time cost just this year to prepare the documents. I can't remember the official name that are needed, that the entire audit is based off of. Then a piece will be recurring on an annual basis for the ACFR, because that is needed every year, but this won't exponentially increase.
Okay, thank you so much. I understand it better, and it's unfortunate that the county board has to take such action to shore up our financial records, but thank you.
JJ.
Yeah, and just to let board members know, the component of this that is for the spreadsheets that have to be recreated, it's about $50,000 of this. We specifically asked Clifton Larson Allen, should they not be our external auditors in the future for when we go out for RFP for that, which is a regular thing. Those spreadsheets are our property. So we should not be having to ask a future auditor to recreate the wheel again.
Anyone else? All right. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Greer,
Yes.
Hidower Friedman,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Rogers,
Oh, yes.
Sexton, Storr, Sullard,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Banich Thiernot,
Yes.
Wiggs,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Cagle,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Crane,
Yes.
Yes.
Fava,
Yes.
Locke,
Yes.
Motion passes. Other business, there's a priority list of facility capital projects in your packet. I would really like everyone to take a look at that. It's one page, but it's information that I think every member of the board needs to take a look at. The grant coordinator update is also in your packet. Would Chair Locke like to make a motion for a closed session?
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 to consider litigation that is pending against or on behalf of Champaign County and litigation that is probable or imminent against or on behalf of Champaign County. I further move that the following individuals remain present: Assistant State's Attorney Joel Fletcher, County Executive Steve Summers, Director of Administration Michelle Jett, Director of Finance Travis Woodcock.
Thank you.